How's it going, everyone? Welcome to episode 25 of the ControllerCast. My name is Ursel, joined almost always, but today with everyone. I'm joined with John Wood, Parker Tedrow, and Andy Eisenhower. How's your week been, guys? Andrew, how about you start us off?
The miraculous and victorious Nebraska Cornhuskers whooped the ever-living dick off of the Union-busting Northwestern Wildcats last night. So we are in good shape, and Iowa is also in good shape for Parker.
What is that? Huskers? Nebraska Cornhuskers?
Yeah, there's like this football team, this like amateur athletic sport that they don't get paid, but they make millions and billions of dollars for an organization that doesn't really care about them. And then they play on Saturday and sometimes they win, sometimes they lose. But yesterday they won.
Dude,
and the way you're speaking about this team, they must be like really good, right? Like you must like
well I did say
I don't know about that.
Lose, so I wouldn't consider that good.
Dude, they didn't just beat Northwestern yesterday. They made them look like fools. Like, they spanked them.
Yeah, they stepped on them and, like, they squished it and, like, twisted their foot. And it was not good.
They reached their fist into Northwestern's ass and pulled the turd straight out of their ass.
They were winning 35-7 with, like, 6 minutes left in the half. The first half. Like,
yeah, it was pretty electric. I was actually in attendance, and the first like 10 minutes of the first quarter were like the most electric sports moments I've ever seen in my life.
It was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was an ass beating.
It looked like Taylor Martinez at his best, low key.
The first play of the game was like a 70-yard pass, and they almost scored on the very first play. It was fucking insane.
So is their record like 1-5 now?
No, we're 3-3, baby.
Oh,
yeah, 1-5.
Meanwhile, my Iowa Hawkeyes are rolling, but they beat Maryland up like pretty bad too. Hopefully, Iowa Nebraska is a good game later this year. We'll see.
I think we're gonna ruin Iowa's playoff hopes.
We'll see. That's a highly anticipated game in my eyes.
Oh, you know what'd be lit? Since Nebraska has 2 conference losses, if we won the rest of our Big Ten games and then Iowa lost one and then we beat Iowa and got into the Big Ten championship over them, even though they were number 3.
That'd be gross. But anything can happen.
I ain't putting anything out there on the table just yet. There's a lot of sport left to be played.
You spoke it into existence, Andrew, so it's going to happen. You heard it here first, folks.
Dude, I would love the implications of that game to be high and make it more intense. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was my week.
One day.
And UNO hockey's back. UNO hockey's back, baby. Fuck yeah.
Did anything happen the week you were gone?
Well, we went to the farmers market and stuff. That was pretty interesting. There's a fuck ton of like local food vendors, which is pretty sick. And I never been to one before, so.
Andrew, what's your 60-second thoughts on Attack of the Clones? I feel like we should get you saw the movie, so I feel like we should get your
It's a movie that has a couple of shining iconic moments, but it's mostly just a pile of dog shit with some sprinkles on top.
Are the shining iconic moments you're talking about the bad moments though? I feel like those are the most iconic moments.
It's like, well, I okay, so I like the fight with Dooku at the end, even though it doesn't really like I mean it ends, but like nobody gets like actually like fully like killed, you know?
Yeah.
And then I always think like the ending scene where it goes from like Palpatine looking out at the clone army like mobilizing and then goes into Anakin and Padme getting married, I think that's like a beautiful like exit scene. And that's my favorite scene in the movie.
the ending.
Yeah, because then it's finally fucking over.
If you had to rate it, what would you rate it? Do you know what we rated it?
No, I didn't finish it. I give it a strong 4.
Hey, that's pretty close to
line.
Yeah, I think mine was 4.5, if I remember right.
I think mine was also 4.5 and John's was 4. So like pretty like the same ballpark, honestly.
Yeah,
that's
fairly deserves that score.
Because it got a 4.2 from us, but that would round it up to a 4.25, which I guess would round up to 4.3.
Well, if you give it a 4, then
extra.
Anyways, Parker, how was your week?
But
good math, John.
No, the average
good
would go
math,
up.
John.
No.
The average would go down if
because Andrew added a 4. It would go down.
Wait.
Yeah, it would go down. It would go down to like 4.1.
Didn't you major in finance?
Oh, I thought. No, yes, but I thought you gave it a 4.5, Parker, for some reason.
I did.
It was yeah. It was me and
Me and Arsenal.
I added 4.5 plus 4.5 plus.
The original one would have been 4.33 repeating, so now it's 4.25, so it went down.
Yeah, well, I was thinking 4.5 plus 4.5 plus.
How did I?
4.
I must have fucked up the math because
I don't know why.
Oh, no.
There were two 4.5.
No. Parker gave it a 4.
Yes, that's why
I'm looking at the list right now.
Parker gave it a 4. Okay, I didn't know. All right, that makes.
So I was the most loving on this film. 4.5. I showed it the most love
instead of a 4.
Wow, how generous.
So yeah, it would have been would have gone down to like 4.1.
The highest in the room.
It's good to get that out of the way so we have a more official kind of rating there.
Yeah, but Parker, what did you do this week? Share.
Last night, me and Blake went to Beercade to just chill, drink beer, and watch some games that were going on. That was fun. Other than that, man, what? How was it?
What is it?
Oh, so I live in an area of Omaha with a lot of bars, and Beercade is in that kind of area. And there's basically, it's just a bar with like a ton of arcade games, pinball, skee ball, all this fun shit. So great time every time you go there. Of course, can never complain.
Way to keep your location anonymous.
Yes, I didn't want to give it away.
If you didn't know, what
people can just Google what
people
could just Google what Beercade is and find out where I live. Yeah, just dox me, please. But but honestly, the rest of this week's just been chilling. Not really doing anything. I'm trying to think if I even did anything really. I really just played video games and watched TV all day after work. So nothing too special.
How's 3D World coming? How's that going for you?
I took a pause on that actually because I can't play Mario for too long at a time because it just the camera pisses me off so bad. Like the
camera is terrible in that game.
I just can't play it for too long. I could play it for like an hour at a time.
The camera is so bad it knocks it out of like being a 9 or above for me.
Dude, all it needs is like a free camera, not like standing still camera. Like, and then I
actually didn't think it was terrible.
But Bowser's Fury
sounds like you're just unable to adapt.
Yeah, I think you guys are just bad.
But Bowser's Fury,
bad at Mario.
I'll give Bowser's Fury its flowers. Okay, Bowser's Fury is amazing.
I have a lot more of 3D World to go, so I can't give any final ratings on that yet. Of course,
but I will say 3D World is better than Odyssey. Not by that much, I think.
Yes, I would
think it's better.
I would agree. And it came out on the Wii U in 2011, 12.
13.
Close.
13.
Just keep going.
I'll get there.
It might even be 14 actually.
It came out for the Wii U. It came out for the Wii U in 2018, 2017, 16, 15, 14, 13. Bingo. Anyways, John, how was your week?
Well, I mean, it was actually very chill, except probably the most eventful thing was that Casey and I got through Spider-Man Miles Morales in about a day. I think we actually finished it in like 30 hours or something. Not like playtime wise, because it's like a 7-hour game, over a span of 30 hours. And that is a great game. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know if it's necessarily worth $60 for the PS5. I think that's probably what it retails at for the PS5, 50 for the PS4.
I think it was 50 and 40.
Wait, Miles Morales? Oh.
It's a little short.
Yeah, I think,
Except
yeah.
besides the story being short, I think it looks incredible. I think it looks and feels better than Spider-Man 2018 on PS4. Even the remaster on PS5, I think it feels a lot better than that. And it was a really great game. Like, honestly, it felt like a really nicely put together blockbuster story. It was like a 7-hour story or so for me, but it felt like a movie. Like, it just never stopped. It was so it was just really well paced and stuff. And granted, the first Spider-Man game, I did a lot of the side content before really getting into the story. So I thought there were pacing issues with it, but I think that was just a fault of my own and how I played the game. This game, I actually just like went straight through the story and ignored all the side content, except when it forces you to do it. But the side content's better too. So honestly, if I were to give a rating, because I don't know if we'll ever like do a full podcast episode on this game. If I were to give a rating, I'd probably give it a strong 9 out of 10. It was a really great game. But besides playing that, we watched Casino Royale, which is our, main topic for this week. Spoiler alert. And then
If the
besides
title
that,
of the episode doesn't give
yeah,
away.
yeah, exactly. But besides that, it was a pretty chill week. We didn't do a whole lot. What about you, Ursel?
Yeah. And kind of going off of you, John, who know, I think I could see us doing an episode maybe sometime
Oh,
next
and I
year.
saw Venom.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about that. I could see us doing a Spider-Man episode before maybe in anticipation of Spider-Man 2, but who knows?
Oh, true.
But anyways, for my week, let's think. What did I do this week? I need to think back. Okay, yeah, I saw Venom as well. I saw it last night. We're gonna talk about that in a sec, me and John. I've been watching Schitt's Creek for fun. I've also been playing through Mass Effect. But what else? Oh, I also got to try out the main thing I wanted to share was I got to try out the Halo Infinite beta, and I've heard really, really good things about this beta on the internet, like on Twitter and stuff. A lot of good, a lot of good, feedback on Twitter. But I played this on Xbox One, and on Xbox One it runs at 1080p 30 FPS, which 30 FPS for FPS is very like nauseous, and not nausea inducing, and it feels like. And I even went on YouTube and tried to look at one of those FPS counter videos. I was like, is this an unstable 30? And no, it's a stable 30. But when you're playing a first person shooter at 30 FPS, it just looks very choppy. I'm my next tech conquer. I've already it's either going to be a AirPods or Series X. So who knows? Maybe maybe by that time Halo Infinite comes out, I might have a Series X, who knows? So we'll see how that goes. But I'm jealous of the people who did have an amazing time with Halo Infinite. I was not one of those people. But that's not a fault to the game itself. That's just the console I was playing it on. Anyways, I guess. Oh, and then also I wanted to watch Seinfeld this since it's on Netflix now, but I can't because supposedly the aspect ratio is just completely fucking it up. I don't know if you guys want to share anything about that, but I think that's
Netflix,
worth it.
fix your shit. Easy fix.
How did it take them that long to get Seinfeld on Netflix and they mess it up this bad? They didn't have someone watch through the episodes to see if the aspect ratio would mess with what you're watching?
Leave important things in each episode out of the episode with the pothole. You can't even see the fucking pothole because the aspect ratio cuts it out.
And the episode, I'm pretty sure, is called The Pothole.
It's called The Pothole.
You can't even see it. You can't even see it.
You're just pointing at the bottom of your screen. You can't even see the fucking pothole.
How do you fuck up a 16:9 aspect ratio? I just don't understand. It's the easiest thing in the world to not mess that up.
Hulu made it look good. Hulu made
they just had to bring it over from Hulu. Yeah, and it looked beautiful on Hulu.
Yeah, like I'm surprised how good the cameras actually held up.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
it
think
was
they
in,
probably
like-
did some remastering or something.
Probably, but it looks like really good. It almost looks like a modern show, but like done with bad
Old effects.
old effects.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it's like there's a 4 month gap. So I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I was rewatching Seinfeld right when it got taken off. So I was like, I'd watched like half of the show and then it just got removed. So I was like, fuck, I guess I'll wait. And I was thinking it was gonna get put on Netflix right after it got taken off of Hulu, but no, it was like 4 months. And then they put on and then they completely butcher it. But
Yeah, whenever they fix that aspect ratio, I'm finally gonna watch like the full Seinfeld. I've only been able to really watch episodes here and there, but I really want to just binge the whole thing because Seinfeld's like the best sitcom I've ever watched.
It's incredible. It
It's
holds up.
by far the funniest, the most intelligent, best comedy you'll find anywhere.
And I'm shocked. I was on Netflix when I saw it. Like I didn't watch it, but I saw it on the top 10 of Netflix, and it was only number 7. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't overtake Squid Game.
Yeah, and I just gotta watch Squid Game at this point, dude.
Yeah.
Half of my TikTok.
I might have to give it. I feel like I have to give it a try just for the hype at the very least.
Dude, half of my Twitter feed, half of my TikTok feed
Same.
is about fucking Squid Game.
I haven't
Same.
even. That has not been on my feeds, unfortunately. I'd like to see what's the hype's all
That's
about.
been all over mine,
It's-
and I don't
yeah.
know if
All
I wanna
over
watch
mine,
it or
too.
not.
I don't know.
I don't know,
Yeah.
my feed I might just be out of the loop with everything because of my feed.
Well, I don't want to feel like a boomer, so I feel like I gotta give it a shot. At least
I'll watch
Right.
the first episode at least, but we'll see where it goes. Al Warith, shout out to Al Warith. He keeps sending me Snapchats of him watching Squid Game, and I'm like, might have to do it.
I don't know.
I mean,
the
I'm
hype-
not-
There's a reason
not-
it's hyped.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hesitant on watching it for any reason. It's just that I'm kind of starting to build a backlog in terms of like me watching shows. So I'm starting to feel overwhelmed. I don't even believe in backlogs. I'm the last guy you'll see that has a backlog.
Yeah.
And I got a backlog now. And I gotta say,
My-
now that I'm starting to have a backlog, I can see how people don't finish things because you have so many things on your plate and you just get overwhelmed. You're like, fuck, where do I go? Where do I where do I start finishing my backlog?
My main thing with why I don't want to jump into Squid Game right away is that like when I'm sitting down to watch TV, generally I'm trying to just relax. So it's not a show that I could just like binge, but at the same time it seems like one of those shows that you would just want to binge. But it doesn't seem like a very relaxing show based on its premise. If I had to make a guess,
That was
It kinda
Breaking
re-
Bad for me.
Breaking Bad
even
was
Breaking
relaxing for you?
Bad, I mean, it was a lot at sometimes, like just very emotional and stuff, and which is great. I mean, it's great. It's great
But-
storytelling and writing, and this is coming from the guy that loves The Last of Us. But like, I don't know. As I get older, I just try and find a relaxing escape through media.
One thing
And
I
don't
have
know
heard
if Squid
about
Game's gonna be that.
One thing I've heard about Squid Game though is like the English subtitles like are fucking terrible. Like I've heard that they do not translate well from like what they're actually saying in Korean. Which
Hmm.
like I
I
don't know.
didn't know that it was not like dubbed, or I thought it was like the voice actors were English.
No, it's got subtitles.
Is that something you think they could update? Like, could that translation be fixed in like a patch, or is that something? that's
Apparently,
just stuck?
Netflix doesn't give a damn.
Like,
They don't care about Seinfeld.
I mean,
And I
I
guess
guess
they don't care about the subtitles or the dubbing in Squid Game either.
I mean, I can get the struggle of like just some word like sentences do not translate one for one to English, but like if someone on TikTok, just some random pleb can be like, yo, this is what they're actually saying, and what what the subtitles are saying is like just a completely different sentence. And like then yeah, I feel like that's a problem. But who knows? Maybe we'll have an episode over season 1 of Squid Game coming up. We all watch Squid. Like I don't even know how
Maybe
many
for the
episodes
sake
it
of
is.
you guys, let us know. If you're,
many-
if
how
you're
many-
listening, let us know. Send
many
us a
eps-
comment. or put
How
a
many
comment on our
episodes?
Instagram.
Does anyone know how many episodes?
I think there's 10, but they're all
Nine,
an hour
nine.
long.
That's not terrible. Could probably like watch it over the course of a week or two.
Yeah.
But anyways, going on from there, we can kind of get into our current events, which this first one will be just me and good old Johnny boy. And that is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Our thoughts and opinions on that movie.
I'm sure we can keep it pretty short, huh?
Yeah. I wanted to. I'll just say this. Like, I want you to start off, but I'll just say this. I wanted to pull out my phone halfway through the movie and text you guys and be like, "What the fuck am I watching?"
It felt like to me that the first like 10 minutes of the movie was originally meant to be like an hour of movie. Like it felt like everything, and like they just wanted to like tell this really quick mid story really quickly just so that they could get to the fighting, or like just so that they could get to the end of the movie.
Bro, there's only one fight scene and it's at the end of the movie.
Dude, this whole movie is a race to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Why?
Like,
I don't get it.
I feel like they okay, spoilers, fucking spoilers.
Big spoilers.
But
a few minutes ahead.
Because the main thing that we're talking about for this fucking movie is the end. Like I feel like they were somewhere in production. They were, or like when they were brainstorming, right? Like let's make a Venom 2. Like probably like right around then they like got the go from Marvel or Disney. Like oh yeah, we can integrate Venom into the MCU. And then they're like, okay, fuck it. Like I feel like this whole movie exists just to get to like the final scene. Like they have to find, like they have to put out something Venom related to get Venom into the MCU before No Way Home comes out. Which, okay, so and just to explain, John, do you want to explain the end credit scene? Like, do you want to?
Yeah. So what happens is the movie ends with the Eddie and Venom chilling on a beach, and they're just like relaxing and rejoicing at the fact that they beat Carnage and shit. They're just like joking around, and you can hardly tell what Venom is saying. Just typical shit. Like you can't hear half the dialogue in the movie. You can't tell what they're saying at all. Like you're guessing. But anyway, that's
I have something to share about that, but go on.
So they after they're chilling on the beach, they end up going and they're like laying in bed watching TV, and then there's a flash of yellow, which kind of reminds me of like Loki a little bit, like the TVA. I'm not sure what the flash of yellow was exactly. I'm guessing it kind of transported them to a different universe, because what happened is they see on the TV Tom Holland's Spider-Man right after Mysterio reveals who he is, Peter Parker. So it shows Peter Parker in the Spider-Man suit, and Venom's like, oh, like there's a lot, Eddie, that you don't understand or that you don't know. There's a lot more to the universe than like I've been around for a long time. And Eddie's like, well, what do you mean? And that flash of yellow happens, and they see that on the TV, and Venom's like that or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he says.
He licks the screen.
Yeah. So I mean, that was pretty cool, I guess. Maybe it bumps the movie up a little bit for me, but it's an end credit scene, dude. It's the whole movie is a race to the end.
You want to know the funny thing? This is what I was thinking about. Like that event, right? That No Way Home, Doctor Strange, like multiverse thing, that hasn't happened in the MCU yet. So it's like the first time you're seeing that event happen is in this end credit scene, completely out of context to like its relation to like what's going on in the MCU. And like I was just thinking about this, like, and this actually happened with the group of people I saw it with. There was someone who came in right when the movie was starting, that did not see the trailers, okay, and came in right when the movie was starting, and he has not seen the No Way Home trailer. He watches MCU movies, right? But he has not seen the No Way Home trailer, and he saw that, and he saw that end credit scene and was like, "What the fuck just happened?" Because there is no context outside of in the MCU for that scene happening yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the only way you could get that scene was if you saw a fucking trailer for the movie that's coming out after this film. You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually didn't think about it like that because I'm so damn invested into the MCU that I do understand where this is going and what's happening, but yeah, what the hell? That just goes to show that they don't give a shit about the movie they made even more.
So I guess
they made the movie for a trailer. They just scrapped this shit together real quick.
And like speaking about the movie itself real quick, like bro, the movie was like, okay, first off, the thing about what you were saying, John, how that you don't know what Venom is saying half the time. This is combined with my other complaint. This movie is cracking jokes every fucking minute. You cannot get through a minute of this film without them cracking some joke, right? And half the time the jokes are coming from Venom. And I didn't know what the fuck Venom was saying, but I guess everyone else in the theater knew what he was saying. So everyone else
Am
I the only motherfucker who can't hear what this jackass is saying? Because people are laughing. We were laughing in the theater, and I am like sitting there like, yeah, like
I couldn't hear a damn word he was saying the entire time. I heard like half of what Venom said.
Yeah.
Maybe half. And I had to try and piece it together in my head. And then I'm like missing other shit because I'm trying to figure out what he said the last like scene.
And dude. I don't know if this is the first time I ever saw this shit, but the person right next to me that was watching the movie, I don't know if he's hard on hearing or whatever, but he had this like black box that you can get from the front like counter at the theater, and it'll like show you the subtitles for the movie, but it's like just for you. So he had this thing sitting in front of his seat, showing him the subtitles, and I was about to be like, "Yo, bro, like turn that shit over, tilt it over there a little."
Maybe I cannot seen the first Venom and knew that he wasn't gonna understand what he was saying.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't understand what was going on, and then like the comedy, it like ranged. I feel like first of all, this movie is a comedy. This movie is a fucking comedy. And
it's barely a superhero.
Yeah, they're cracking jokes all the time. And the worst part is some of the acting, I think, is besides Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, I actually thought he was pretty good. I think he's the best part of this movie. Everyone else in this movie is terrible. I feel like everyone's acting performances are ass in this film. Like, did you think that? I don't know if I'm tripping.
His girlfriend, dude, or his
terrible
old girlfriend, like. It seemed like she was so self-aware that like the movie was
a comedy.
Shit.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I really don't.
And I mean, like, I don't know, like in the story, there's just things that don't even make sense, or like why, like I never got why
Cletus never explained. Yes, why are Cletus and Eddie friends?
They
know each other.
Yeah, I was sitting there for the whole movie trying to like figure out like, bro, why is Cletus Cassidy? Yeah, why is Cletus Cassidy obsessed with Eddie Brock, and why does Eddie Brock have this like moral obligation to go like visit Cletus? I'm and then I'm like, okay,
I was like, did I miss something from the first movie? Like, was it explained when they were like fucking going from scene to scene in the first 5 minutes, like boom, 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 like explaining shit really fast?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was just like. That was confusing me, and it was just obviously so they could get to like him fighting Eddie Brock.
And for reference, the thing we keep saying this and how the movie felt rushed. It was an hour and a half of screen time, less than that. Like it hit the credits an hour and 20 in. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so short. 80 minutes.
Yeah, and to me, the movie felt too long even then. I was ready to get out of that. I was like, and from watching the trailers, I was like, okay, he broke out and they're going to go fight at that church in the trailers. And then the movie's gonna end, and then we're gonna have that post-credit scene where they're gonna somehow bring Spider-Man into it. Like, I was just going through the motions. I was just ready to get to the end of the movie and get out of the theater.
And you know what? Whenever I talk about an action movie, I can always point out like a good action movie. I can point out a fight scene and be like, yeah, you know, loosely describe it and be like, yeah, that was really good. I barely remember any of the fight scene from Venom. Like
The fight
there was a
one fight scene.
yeah, one fight scene. There was a chick that could scream really loud. Like I guess there was one quick fight scene and then it led right into the final one. I don't know. It was just there was just this chick that could scream that Cletus was in love with, and her scream like broke stuff. Like, and it didn't explain really any of that. Like, the movie just doesn't take itself seriously. It
Yeah,
was bad.
and I just want to like kind of time back to the end credit scene. Like, and this is gonna be me being a salty fanboy. Okay, so I'm just gonna be self-aware here, bro. The whole reason the Venom storyline, the whole reason the Venom character is so good is because he is tied to Spider-Man, like from the very beginning, one way or another. Like, it's like it's like two sides of the same coin, Spider-Man and Venom, right? And it's like this version of Venom is like now in this new universe, and like, bro, Tom Holland Spider-Man is not even gonna know who the fuck this guy is. Like, he's not gonna know who Venom is. You know,
Literally, like Thanos, I don't even know who you are. That's just gonna be Peter Parker in this next film.
Yeah, and like, I can get like having some comedy to Venom, but part of what makes Venom also interesting is he is like that opposite side of Spider-Man, and it's like that darker side. And now it's like him coming into the MCU, and he's just this goofball, like, that's just cracking jokes
Yeah.
and going to clubs and turning up and shit. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, that was like 15 minutes of the movie was Venom just spewing shit that you couldn't understand at a club. And that's
So,
what like the world premiere of a song was advertised with the movie, and the end
the
credit
Eminem,
scene was
yeah, the
what was
Eminem,
advertised for the movie. Yeah.
the
I'm
Eminem
like,
song at the end. Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about?
yes,
Yeah.
and they're literally what other movie? Tell me what other movie advertises itself based on what happens in the credits. Nothing else about the movie.
You're gonna wanna check this movie out for the end credits, buddy.
That song in the end credits, buddy, and the end credits scene.
And I'm even salty that they wasted fucking Carnage on a fucking throwaway movie like this, bro. Like, there's an alternate reality. Look, we're living in the wrong timeline. Okay, I've said this before on the pod. We're living on the wrong timeline. There is a timeline where if Sony Pictures just waited to pull the Venom card, right? If they didn't have the Venom boner and just waited until they got to go to put him into the MCU, there could have been a timeline where we had Tom Holland having the black suit, getting Venom, having Venom and Carnage in the MCU properly. But no, it's like this weird fucking thing going on that, like, you get my point. Anyways.
Yeah, so now like Spider-Man 2, the game, if you've all seen the trailer, I hope you have, it shows Venom in it, but it's like, it's the Eddie Venom, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be based on, like, it looks like the Eddie Venom. It looks like the Venom we know from the movies, but I'm guessing it's going to be based on, like, Spider-Man being evil, right? It would have to be, right?
I'm pretty sure, well, for the game is its own, like, story and its own universe.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, the game is going to do it better than whatever the fuck the movies are doing. Like,
And that's what I'm getting at. It's that, like, Venom. He's just been done dirty.
Venom, get him.
Anyways, Venom, and that song is terrible.
Yes, but I will say at the end, that's one of my pros for this movie. I thought the end credit song was kind of hype, but
Pretty good.
So I'm gonna say, like, pros of this film. There are some funny jokes, I guess, and it seems like the actors are having a good time. What the fuck? Tom Hardy is like, he's having a good time. Like, he's a good the best part of this film. But everything else was like ranged from shit to like unexpected, like unintentionally funny. I would give this movie like a 4.5 out of 10.
You're being generous, Ursula. I didn't wanna like for context for the listeners, I told Ursula that this was a fun film. I don't even think I would say that. I really don't. There's there's not a lot of positives to this. I think the action, what little there is, it's forgettable. I like Venom as a character, but you can't hear what he's saying. Maybe it would be funny if they put subtitles on or like didn't make it sound like Venom was swallowing a gallon of water every time he spoke. Like honestly, dude, it's not good. Like what little there is of plot, you don't understand. It doesn't make any sense, and there's no motivation, in my opinion, to any of what the characters are doing. Like it doesn't explain the villain at all. You have no idea how Eddie and Cletus even know each other. So, I mean, we've talked about how bad it is already. Plenty. I'm not going to say any more. I'm just going to give my rating. I'm going to actually give Venom Let There Be Carnage a 3 out of 10. This is objectively bad. I think it's honestly offensive.
Hold up. Is this the lowest rating we've gotten on any media?
From me.
Yes.
And
I think from
That's
from
impressive.
anybody.
That is impressive.
Yeah, that
It'd be Attack of the Clones.
yeah, we just set the record for lowest scoring, and then now the next week we just broke that record. So the our average score of Venom Let There Be Carnage, and honestly, I feel kind of after you said that I'm being generous at the 4.5. I'm actually changing it. I'm gonna give it a 4. You're right. I'm being generous. Actually, no. I'm taking. No, I'm going back to 4.5 because of that end credit scene. Oh, it just gives it a little bump.
So what is this first ControllerCast certified stinker?
I think it's offensive that they made the whole movie for the end credit scene. It's
So,
offensive.
This it beats Attack of the Clones for lowest score. Our ControllerCast rating of this movie is a 3.8.
Disgusting.
Officially stinker.
Yes,
status.
Honestly, if you're
Certified
listening to
stinker
this
boy.
podcast, if you're listening and you are like wondering if you should go see the movie, please don't. Just Google.
Wait, I
the
remember
end
when the
credit
runtime came out
Don't
and I
watch
said
it.
this movie is short as fuck. This movie's gonna suck ass, and you guys shit on me.
No.
Well,
I wasn't.
I like to
okay,
give it the
okay.
benefit
Whoa.
of the doubt.
The
I like
original
to give
Venom.
it the benefit of the doubt.
I watched the original Venom movie like a few years back, and that was actually really good. So
I
this
thought
is
the original was okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
I thought
that
it was really good. So this is
was-
really disappointing to hear, honestly.
And I don't. The craziest part is the consensus is that this is a genuine improvement over the first film,
No,
which I do not
I
get.
don't agree.
And honestly, the runtime of this film to me is actually a positive. I if this movie was any longer, I would want to probably stomp on my fucking nuts and gouge my eyes out. So, anyways, talking about Venom, Eminem, fucking
Eminem.
Venom.
Speaking of fucking Eminem, let's go into the next current event. Get these boys back into the convo. The Super Bowl halftime has been announced, or like the headliners have been announced for the big game. And it is Snoop Dogg, Mary J. Blige, Dr. Dre, Eminem, and Kendrick Lamar. Which I'm gonna be the contrarian.
Interesting.
I'm gonna be the contrarian here, and I actually think this is a really cool halftime show. Yeah, these guys aren't like at the peak of. Besides Kendrick, these guys aren't like peak popularity right now. But I feel like when you take all of these guys' top hits, put them together into one 13-minute show, that's like I feel like there's gonna be bangers like Gin and Juice, Nothing But a G Thing, Not Afraid or not afraid. Why am I forgetting the 8 Mile? No, the 8 Mile song. Why am I forgetting that name?
Lose yourself.
Lose Yourself,
Yeah.
Humble.
Yep.
Like if you put all these guys' best songs together, that's gonna be a banging halftime show. And so I am actually pretty excited, but I know you guys weren't as hot. So how about you guys jump in?
This is my thing. I just don't understand how they're gonna integrate all of themselves together. Because I feel like a lot of like Super Bowl halftime shows that have had multiple artists have trouble connecting themselves with each other. It's just like, okay, you do your song and then I'll do my song. Like, remember Travis Scott? That was the dumbest integration into a Super Bowl
with Maroon
halftime
5.
show. Yeah, it made no sense. It didn't fit. This at least is cohesive, but I'll be interested to see like how they play off one another. You know, I think it would be really cool if they did do a lot of their like really good classic songs that are bangers, but like somehow made it one big mashup of like a cool, like a show-stopping, unforgettable 20-minute performance of like a mashup of these artists' greatest songs, because these are some of the greatest artists out there, I think. So I'm excited. I'm just cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I am actually really excited for this. I thought this, when I heard this lineup, I actually was really excited because all of these artists have iconic music to go back on. And they have 5 months to prepare. So I have a feeling that they're going to find a way to integrate it. And they're going to do a really good job. I just know for a Super Bowl halftime show, you can't fuck it up. So they're going to put a lot of
you can
preparation
fuck it up.
into it.
You can definitely fuck it up.
You can mess.
Oh, you
Yeah,
can fuck
damn
it
well.
up pretty
You're gonna try your damn hardest to not mess it up, though. You know.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling they're gonna work a way to integrate it and make it a very fun, cohesive, great Super Bowl halftime show. Eminem, honestly, I probably listened to more than anybody in my life, so I'm excited to see what songs he puts out there. If it's "Lose Yourself" or whether it's something from the original EPs. But all of these artists, I think, will have positive spins on this Super Bowl halftime show. I'm excited.
Who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl? Do you have any very early on picks from what you've seen, Parker?
It's gonna be the same as last year.
Steelers,
the Los Angeles Rams, and I'll say the Raiders.
I actually
The
have
Raiders.
no idea. I have no idea this year, dude.
I'm just guessing. I have.
The Raiders. Do you really think the Raiders?
They look the best right now in the AFC. There's a lot of weeks left.
I'll be interested to see how the Raiders look against the Chiefs. Even though the Chiefs have been stinky, I think that's still a really good test because it's like that rivalry.
Patrick Mahomes is really the only thing keeping the Chiefs afloat right now.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll
Matthew.
Yeah, 6'9".
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you think about this
I mean,
halftime lineup?
I don't have a problem with the artist they chose. It just seems like it's like 2009's best Super Bowl halftime show. Like I feel like it's just like not anything against the artists because they all have, you know, like you said, a lot of iconic songs, but it just seems weird that like in 2021 this is like the mashup we get.
Yeah, Kendrick doesn't really. I feel like Kendrick's kind of the odd man out a little bit. He's just newer. I don't know. Just a newer artist.
I mean, I don't know. When was the last time any of the other artists besides Kendrick came out with an album? I mean, Eminem obviously more recent, but like Dr. Dre's last album was when we were in like middle school. And like,
yeah,
and like I don't know when Mary J. Blige's last one was, and I don't know when Snoop Dogg's last one was.
I will say the one kind of, I feel like people aren't talking about this. If Kendrick's going to be on the Super Bowl stage, I feel like that just like, I feel like there's no way that we're not getting a Kendrick album before February. I don't know. Like,
I think that's a good point. I hope we do. I feel like we need some refreshed Kendrick, or at least a single or two.
But we got some with Baby Keem recently.
Oh yeah, what if we get
Moanin'.
what if we perform as fucking Range Brothers? Top of the morning, and all of us are gonna be jamming out, and then all of our parents are gonna be like, "What the
Let's
fuck?
get the shit.
Top of the morning.
I could rap that all day long.
Top of the morning.
It's actually catchy, like after a while. Low key.
It really
I thought it was
is.
bad at first.
I didn't think it was ever bad. I always I just rapped along with it.
Just a weird beat.
Next time Kendrick goes on tour, that song is gonna pop off.
That's true.
It is a major TikTok meme right now. I will say that.
Oh my god, I see so many TikToks about it.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like I cannot away from that song on TikTok.
TikTok is the measure of popularity.
Yep. Seriously. But anyways, that's kind of pretty short current events. It was a pretty dead week, honestly, in terms of news. Hopefully we'll have more to talk about as the weeks keep on going. But now we can go ahead and get into the main topic. All right. So the main topic of this week, just in celebration of the end of Danny Craig's career as 007 James Bond, and with No Time to Die coming out next week, which we will also be reviewing, we decided to kind of do like a throwback here and revisit Daniel Craig's first, go at it as James Bond, and that is 2006's Casino Royale. So this was the start of his career as James Bond, and this, the longest running career, I believe, actually, for someone playing James Bond. And it's a lot different from the other films that really came before it. It's a lot more grounded, a lot more gritty. And I don't know if you guys actually knew this, but did you know that when the casting was announced for for him as James Bond, people were extremely angry? Like,
I actually do remember this.
Yeah.
Because I was doing some after we watch any movie for the podcast, I usually look around at some YouTube stuff and get some explained videos to make sure I didn't miss anything. And one of them was it mentioned the fact that Daniel Craig was hated because blonde hair and blue eyes. And
yeah.
I do remember it. I remember that.
That's blonde hair, blue eyes.
They're like, how could James Bond have blonde hair and blue eyes? It's that's a pretty big portion of
white British man.
Yeah, I'm does he not fit? Does he not fit the part? I don't get it. I thought that was stupid.
I'm pretty sure no one wants to, probably anyone that hated on him as James Bond back then probably is ate their words up so fast. Because I feel like when people talk about the best James Bond, it's either Daniel Craig or probably Sean Connery. Those are the two that come up. I kind of actually started off I guess I want to ask you guys what's your guys' kind of history with James Bond, the James Bond movies?
Daniel Craig is the only one that I've ever seen. I've never watched any of the old ones. Mm-hmm. I've seen bits and pieces of a couple of them, and I mean they're old movies, so I'm eh. But
yeah.
I think you said it best, Arcel. The other day, you're it's just such a boomer take to be Sean Connery or Daniel Craig is the worst James Bond. My favorite James Bond is Octopussy.
Because it was the one that came out when I was.
I meant to point. I mean, it's probably a generational kind of thing, but for us, for our age, the only James Bond I know and is Daniel Craig. So when I think of James Bond, I think of Daniel Craig. So I mean and I mean Casino Royale came out, his first James Bond movie when we were 8 years old. So I mean that's been the only James Bond our whole life basically. Or our life that we actually consciously would watch a 2-hour movie and actually give a shit.
Yeah. I remember thinking it was kind of confusing when I was a kid for some reason.
I don't think movie it's that that there's James Bond, multiple James Bonds.
Both, I guess. No, but I was talking about the movie itself, Casino Royale.
I've accepted that any movie that I thought was whenever I watched this movie for the first time and I was 10 years old, there's no way I understood the fucking complexities of this film.
I know I didn't. I know I didn't, because when I watched it this time, I was oh, because I hadn't seen it in probably Oh my gosh, I haven't seen it in a long time actually, until
I
this
also,
latest viewing.
it's also a movie that I feel like when you watch, like, how do I explain it? I feel like it's a movie, like if you watch when you're younger, the actual plot, you probably can't recollect very easily because it's not like as like in your face. Like you have to be paying like kind of attention to like know like why everything is happening as it is, you know? But I guess
Exactly.
like I just want to share like my experience with James Bond. Like so like my dad is a big James Bond head. Uh sounds weird. He's a big James Bond. He's a big James Bond
He's a
fan.
Bond guy.
Yeah. He's a big Bond guy, like big James Bond fan because my grandpa, like he was super big into James Bond. So like whenever a new one came out, it was like tradition for me, if we could, for like me and my grandfather to go see, you know, the new James Bond film. So I actually like kind of had a little bit of a exposure before it. Like I had seen some of the Pierce Brosnan movies, which was not the Daniel Craig, the James Bond before Daniel Craig. And then also some of like the Sean Connery films. Like, so I've seen a couple of those. And it's kind of a bittersweet because my grandfather's last, you know, movie that he could have seen, last James Bond movie that he could have seen was Spectre. Not the greatest note to end off on, but it would have been awesome to see him, to watch, you know, No Time to Die when it comes out next week, like with him. Because I remember like James Bond was his favorite. That was like without a question, James Bond was my grandfather's like favorite film franchise.
Did you know what his favorite James Bond was, or who his favorite James Bond was?
I feel like it was Sean Connery. I feel like it was definitely Sean Connery. And I don't remember what his favorite James Bond film was. I want to say it was like Goldfinger. But my dad's is Skyfall. My dad's favorite movie is definitely Skyfall. Like he's talked to me about that multiple times. But what about you, John? I feel like maybe you and your dad might have some experience with that.
Well, I know that my dad's watched a lot more of the James Bond films. I think there was a time when a lot of them were on Netflix, a lot of the older ones. And I think my dad kind of ran through them. My mom and my dad watched a lot of them, but I really haven't seen a whole lot. I'm kind of in the same boat as Andrew, where I haven't seen really much other than bits and pieces of the old James Bond films. And what I've seen has been like just like James Bond making out with a girl. Like I really haven't seen a whole lot of the old stuff. And from what I understand, that's a lot of the old movies and some goofy villains, kind of.
But like the old ones are so like out of the like they're so extraordinary. Like maybe that's like the best way to put it. Like it's, you know, like it is like James Bond going to the, like there's a movie where he goes to the fucking moon, or like, you
what?
know, yeah, it's called Moonraker. Like it's like, or like the Pierce Brosnan ones, like, you know, like he's trying to, like it's like really crazy shit. Like there's an evil base in Antarctica that's like built out of ice, like this entire base. It's like really crazy, wacky shit that like I don't know how well it would play over now, but you know.
Right. And see, that's why I like I guess the only other experience I have is like the GoldenEye game.
Yeah.
And I thought that was somewhat realistic, I guess, of a story. But
that was considered the most like realistic James Bond film up until
right. I was gonna say, because Casino Royale is like very, very believable. Like this is probably exactly what secret agents in real life would be handling, situations like this. And it's really, really good. It's really good. But I actually haven't seen, funny enough, I will before No Time to Die. I haven't seen Spectre, but I've seen Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace a long time ago, and Skyfall. But other than that, I haven't really seen the other like older films, but I have played through GoldenEye, and I love that game. on Wii.
Same. Yeah, that's a classic.
Banger. What about you, Parker?
So honestly, when the last time I watched a James Bond film, I don't even remember which one it was. Now it was when I was way younger, but it was the Daniel Craig iterations. That's the kind of main
Maybe it was
association I have with
Casino.
James Bond.
Maybe you saw Casino, didn't even realize it.
Maybe, I don't know, but it was nice to revisit it and actually kind of get a full gauge of what James Bond is really like, and just finally understand it.
Be old enough to understand.
It felt like a first experience when it kind of wasn't, but after watching Casino Royale, it just stuns me how clever Bond is over and over again. He may not be more physically gifted than anybody else he's facing against, but he's definitely smarter than him.
Yeah,
And
well,
that's
like
something you realize throughout the whole movie. And
I
that's
guess what is everyone's like, for like I guess general impressions on the film?
I liked it, honestly.
Yeah, I really like the film. Like I was saying, I think I actually said it on the podcast last week that it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I didn't realize until watching it this most recent time that it had been quite a while since I had seen it, because there were a lot of scenes that I actually thought were in Quantum of Solace for whatever reason, like the car flipping scene. I thought that was actually in the next movie. So my memory, I guess, didn't serve me well enough with Casino Royale, but that's not to say that I didn't love this movie. I think it's like, from what I remember, and I haven't I haven't seen all of these in a really long time. I didn't realize like how long ago these actually came out, because they seemed fresh in my mind, but I guess they weren't as fresh in my mind. But after seeing this again, it's damn good. And I can't wait to watch the next few, and then No Time to Die too, so I can actually say like which one's the best. But if my memory serves me right, spoiler alert, because I know we're gonna probably compare them maybe next week, but I think this might be one of my favorite Bond films from what I remember. But I can't wait to like watch I can probably wait to watch Quantum of Solace from what you've told me, Ursula, but I can't wait to like see Skyfall again. And I've never seen Spectre. But this one's really good. And I think it has a lot of like really classic and memorable moments. And I think it's funny. I'm pretty sure this was one of like the first Blu-ray discs, like one of the first movies really heavily advertised with Blu-ray. Because I had the version that has like Blu-ray disc live, like a interactive version of watching the movie that like you need to be connected to the internet for. Super weird, but I really like Casino Royale. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I mean, like coming off of like some of the other earlier ones, like I really like how down to earth this film is. Like there aren't any like crazy fucking gadgets in this film. Like the craziest gadget he has in this film is like a defibrillator. Like it's like super, like, how do I describe it? It's super
grounded.
Yeah, it's super grounded. And like the whole film, the whole like base, like, that the whole like set piece that this film is built around is a fucking poker game, which is like badass, I think. It's super cool. And like, I don't know if there's a better poker card game scene in any other movie. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like,
oh my gosh, I agree, dude.
Like it's really, really good. And I think also it's just like it grounds Bond as a, like, you kind of get to know Bond a little bit more as a character too. And I think it's one of the, either this or Skyfall. Like me and the boys have talked about this earlier in the week. I don't know yet which one I like more, this or Skyfall. I'm planning on rewatching Skyfall maybe tonight actually, because I have seen Quantum of Solace. I just rewatched Quantum earlier this week. That's definitely not my favorite. That's the least favorite. And out of the Danny ones, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And it's just a really well made and smartly made film. Like it does, you know, like we'll get into it, but I think it's just a very well made movie at the end of the day. But what about you, Andrew?
I mean, I think it's a pretty quality movie. I always think it's interesting every time I watch it that like it's kind of like a two-part movie where like after the poker game, it's like we talked about earlier, it's like a whole different movie. And I think that makes it really unique for me. But I don't know if I like it more than Skyfall, but I will also probably be watching Skyfall very soon. So um, might have a better opinion after I watch it again.
You're really you're like jumping around because you just rewatched Spectre, and you just watched a Casino before that. And now you're gonna go back to Skyfall. It's like
Yeah, I'm just hopping around when I get the availability.
So like one thing I want to like talk about is also besides Daniel Craig is like how good the rest of the cast is. Like I feel like everyone here like is bringing their A game. This is like Mads Mikkelsen's breakout role. Like he's popular for other things as well. Like Another Round, which won like Best International Film last year. He's in the show. He's Hannibal Lecter in the show Hannibal. So he's had a lot of like prominent roles. But yeah, that's another thing I just want to mention is I think everyone like I think Lashif, like he's like an iconic villain. Like, and he's not.
The
He doesn't.
blood dripping from his eye, dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you don't have to have to me like to make something iconic. It doesn't have to have some crazy moment or some holy shit like over the top insanity. You know, like
Which this movie does. It does.
Mm-hmm,
It has that.
Yeah, but like Lashif is very like here's like that's the craziest thing. Like he's the villain of this movie, and he's not even like the quote unquote big bad. You know, like he just got fucked over in a like a bet, and he's just trying to win his money back. And he's just the middleman for like the terrorist organization. You know, he's not even like the dude, like the head honcho or anything. He's just the broker for the organization. And I think he's like a very low key character. He doesn't like even when he's torturing Bond later in the film, he's not freaking out too much. Like he's got an iconic look with like his like bloody eye and like how he has that like damaged eye, and I really love him as a character. And then even also Eva Green as Vesper, like she's a really great Bond villain. Like compared to other Bond movies where the female characters are just there for like the sex, like she's, you know, like she's a genuinely good like counterpart to James Bond.
Yeah, and even earlier in the movie where there is like almost a sex scene, it isn't that. Like Daniel Craig is a totally different Bond. Like it seems like he's just like the modern, very realistic version of Bond. And this movie, that's what I love about it. Everything in it, down to Lashif, even though he kind of looks a little like messed up, and you know, his look kind of lends to his being a Bond villain, I guess. He's so realistic, and the motives of all the characters for me make a lot of sense. Except I do actually think the motives for Vesper, and maybe this was just my fault, but like I actually didn't really totally get why, like, and I'm kind of going to the end of the movie, I guess, but this part just seems like a separate movie in and of itself. I don't really understand why Vesper, was she a double agent because she was her life was threatened by the Mr. White dude?
She was like, I think she was like being blackmailed. Like it was kind of like against her own will. She was trying to like be this mole or this double agent, but I don't think it was like her like willingly. Like I think they were holding like her ex-lover or someone, like something like hostage, essentially.
Because I was gonna say like that, the end with Vesper was like the only thing for me that kind of got lost and that I didn't totally understand. But other than that, like I thought all the actors did a really good job, and I just thought everything was really, really well paced and well put together. in this
Yeah.
movie.
It's interesting like talking about the pacing because I feel like I kind of like go back and forth with my thoughts on this where I'm like, oh, this is like a really good like 3-act film. Like you have everything before the casino, like the build up to that, getting set up for that. Then you have the actual casino, which is the second act, and then you have the third act, which is, post Casino Royale. But like I also feel like sometimes like when I was watching it, like it almost feels a little disjointed at times. Like, I feel like the heart of this film, the thing that I feel like when most people think about the film, like their thoughts go to Casino Royale and that iconic, that poker game. But and I actually don't
like the most exciting game of poker you'll ever see.
Yeah.
Screw that late night poker, TV, BS. This is it.
Yeah, and like it's and I actually think the first half of the movie, like before the casino, has some like really good moments, but it's like specifically like the construction site chase at the
Dude,
beginning.
that is the
construction
one
site
of my
chase is
favorite
so
scenes.
awesome.
Yeah,
like it's so well done.
And I actually think it's funny because like it's kind of like I feel like this film is like relatively low key. I feel like that's like almost like a red herring, like when you're watching it, because like, oh, like you watch it, that's the opening scene, and it's like, holy shit, this movie's gonna be fucking insane. And it's like that's probably like the great, like I mean, the airport scene is pretty wild too, but like I feel like in terms of most action packed, like the movie is the most action packed in its like front end, I feel like, or like specifically that first scene. I feel like that's the most like crazy intense it gets, and then like I really appreciate that the movie really slows it down and it's more about like the stakes are high obviously because there's a lot of money on the line, but like I think everyone's favorite part, my favorite part is the casino or is the poker game, the Casino Royale stuff. Even though I love that intro chase scene.
It keeps it grounded, but I think each act, the 3 acts, all have their big action scene where the first one is the parkour chase scene. The second act is like the airplane scene. And then the third act is like where the building is falling. Like I think they all each act has its big action scene, but that parkour one was some of the dude, it's done so well. It's all like I'm pretty sure it was all real. Like they like tied Daniel Craig or a stunt double up to like the crane, and like they did all of this like real effects. Dude, it's insane. And it looks real too.
And like that's kind of like going also like I like how James Bond in this film is like more like of a gritty like character. Like there's a part where the dude he's chasing like does this crazy parkour through like this like little hole at the top of a wall in that chase scene, and then James Bond just bashes through the door.
Yeah,
and like
he bashes through the wall.
Yeah, he like bashes through the wall, like stuff like that, or like even like this film. We were talking about this earlier. Like it's a pretty hard PG-13 rating. Like even in the opening scene, like which is like a great spin on that classic, that iconic him shooting the center of the screen, at the beginning of the film
with the blood.
Yeah, like, but even that's like, he's like struggling to kill that guy. Like it's like I feel like it's a generally pretty dark PG-13 film or PG-13.
It really is. It really is. Like even seeing like Vesper at the end, like drowning, that's a little much in my opinion for like PG-13, and like the dude getting his head bashed into a sink, a porcelain sink at the beginning. Yeah. It really makes like full use of the PG-13 rating without going past that, but it almost does. I feel like it does.
And like even like that PG-13 rating, like talking about like the torture scene later in the movie, like
that too.
Like
it's ridiculous.
Like
it makes us all, I'm sure it makes us all cringe. Even Casey, my wife, was like, ugh, I could hardly watch that.
Yeah, I think they were able to get away with the PG-13 rating just because they didn't show any nudity or anything like that. So I felt like they were able to kind of stretch it as much as they could for a PG-13. So I don't quite know how that rating system works, but seems like it's very teetering on the line of rated R at times. Like I feel like it could easily
If
could
they
be
showed just a little bit more.
exactly.
And they didn't even have to show nudity. Like it was just some of the kills were like brutal, and you can feel like the emotion. Like even in the during the Casino Royale scene, or like not during it, but like right when they get there, when those dudes attack Vesper and Bond, like that's pretty emotional, and it shows like a really pretty intense fight scene. But especially the torture scene at the end, that is ridiculous.
I was like, I remember watching it like when the first time I watched it, not like now, but when I watched it like when I was younger and being like, what the fuck, like holy shit, like I was like thrown off guard by it. I was like, this is kind of like, I'm surprised that this is in this film.
I feel like I thought the same thing when I was younger. Like, wow, this is only PG-13.
Yeah, and as a man, you know, it was painful for me to watch that scene.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, James Bond is literally like, this is an insane method of torture. He's strapped to a chair that doesn't have a bottom to it, and he's being whacked from the bottom by like a rope that's like tied in a knot at the end. Like, oh gosh, imagine like a really thick rope that's tied in a knot, so it's basically like a hammer being swung at your underside. Like, dude, he's getting his balls like busted, literally, and he's begging for it. He's like, yes, give it to me.
James Bond is confirmed a sadist, right? Is that in the BDSM? What was it? Is that
I don't know what
not a
I don't know what the
masochist,
technical term for it is.
Is sadist?
I don't know. Oh gosh, I just can't. That scene is so brutal. But
Even like the beginning scene, like the first fight when Bond shoots the gas tank and like obliterates 10 people, like that's pretty brutal. That's almost like just a mass killing right there.
I actually don't think anyone like dies except for the dude he's chasing. Yeah, the guy who's chasing.
It just blows up and he's just gone.
Yeah, somehow like people standing right next to a gas tank when it's shot, they don't all die, but that's just how it works, I guess.
But that was smart. That was so smart.
What, like, are you talking about in the airport scene when like they
no, the beginning.
Oh, the embassy.
Where James Bond shoots the gas can.
The end of the big chase parkour scene.
Oh yeah. I was thinking about when he has the like bomb attached to like that guy at the airport. And you know, he, like, swaps it.
I don't even know when he did that. I didn't catch it.
Yeah.
But that shit's smart. Like, this James Bond is clever. And I like how everything's so realistic again, because it's not like, oh, you know, if this guy, like the satellite, whatever, like if this guy is able to launch the satellite, he's gonna be able to, you know, destroy the world or something, or heat up the ocean and destroy the, like, it's not totally ridiculous. It's literally the middleman for a terrorist organization that is, you know, the middleman broker that's like, funding and it's helping fund.
It's so like realistic too, because it's just like following the train of events. It's like this dude is betting with this terrorist organization's money on stocks, essentially, like, and he's like doing these terrorist attacks, you know, and like betting on shorts, essentially, like shorting the stock so that he'll get a massive payout. But then obviously they stop the airplane from like blowing up and the stock from crashing. So he loses all that money, and then he's desperate and he's trying to win it back in a poker game. And MI6's plan is to, you know, have him lose win the poker game so that they can like essentially have him to come to them and be like, you know, feed them info on this terrorist organization. And it's like, to me, it's like, it's such a like intricate but also like very everything's like grounded. It's like we're talking about like shorting stocks and like like a poker game being the end all be all of this film.
Right.
And kind of like, obviously we're not talking about Quantum of Solace, but even like Quantum of Solace tried to keep it like grounded and everything, but it just doesn't work in that movie.
Yeah. Wasn't that during like the writer strike, you said, in Hollywood?
Yeah. So like kind of talking about Quantum for a second, the reason like Quantum is so bad is because it was essentially written like during the 2008 writer's strike, so they didn't have a writer to like tighten up the script or fix it up or anything. So the director of the movie and Daniel Craig had to like come up on the spot and like write or like re-edit or rewrite scenes. So it's kind of like, talking about like cons with Casino Royale, and it's not even like Casino Royale's fault, it's Quantum's fault, but like this film is it leads in, the last third of this film, it sets up a continuation of a story that Quantum doesn't really do anything with in any meaningful way, which like, I guess what, I want to ask you guys, like, what did you guys think of like the structure of this film, like Andrew and Parker?
Yeah, I thought it flowed really well, honestly. It didn't feel like there's much filler, like there are some other action movies where there's a lot of kind of BS just between all of the chase downs and the battles, but like those filler scenes without the action in James Bond feel like they're worth watching. It's actually a part of the plot, and they're actually doing character development instead of just making these characters no names. So I really like the structure of this film overall. I thought it did a healthy blend of like emotional moments versus moments where it's like, holy shit's going down. But I like that there wasn't much of that filler anyway. Like it felt like a lot of shit was on edge all the time in Casino Royale. Especially when you were at the poker game where just Lashif is getting held at gunpoint by the terrorists, like in between the game. And like it's just a whole ordeal where if he doesn't get his money, like the terrorists are gonna fuck him up. So
Dude,
it's just on edge the whole time.
The entire poker like arc is like the most stressful, like one of the most like stressful arcs in like any movies I've watched, because it's like the whole time you're like, well, like how is Bond gonna win this? Like, the government's on the hook. If he loses the money, then the government's in trouble. And then all the stuff where he gets poisoned while he's playing the game, and there's like this scene where he almost dies and has to like shock himself back to life, or get shocked back to life. Like it's an insanely stressful thing. You wouldn't think like a poker scene would be that stressful, but Jesus, like you can make that whole part into its own movie and it would be a good movie. Like it's a like a roller coaster the whole time, and then it ends with the beautiful straight flush, and it's like, oh my God, you fucking did it, mate.
Yeah, they like find a way, like a really good way of like keeping that poker game like constantly interesting. Like there's always something, like they're trying to, you could tell there's sometimes they're trying to explain it to the audience, like if they don't know like poker ins and outs, like the tells and stuff, like, oh, this is his tell. But like there's like, that's the one thing, it's like it's not just a poker game, like in that like you're just sitting there watching them play. It's like there's stuff happening in between the game with like, those guys coming in and trying to kill a chief, or
Bond getting poisoned.
Yeah, like literally like Bond getting poisoned in the middle of the game and having to like resuscitate himself. Like it's just
like that second act is just ridiculous. It's the best second act in any 3-act film for me. It's just like everything about it is so well done. Like even the end of the poker game where like, Lashif has an ace high full house, like 3 aces, 2 sixes, and there's only one hand that could possibly beat it, and James Bond has it, and he gets the straight flush. It's just like, what? Like, it's actually mind-blowing, especially if you understand how poker works. Yeah. Seeing the blood come out of his eye, dude, like, Lashif, like, it seemed like he he had it all figured out. And I actually believed he did. I was like, oh fuck, Bond just lost again. Like, is this going to keep going? I know the runtime is longer. You know, I know there's an hour left in the movie, but because there's an entire, you know, another movie essentially, or like the first half of it, what a Quantum of Solace should have been.
Yeah, there's a whole new movie in Venice, basically.
But
Yeah,
dude, like that, oh, it's so badass. Like James Bond wins with the only possible hand he could have won with. And it's believable. Like they make it believable. It doesn't just seem like, oh, he got a straight flush. Oh, of course. Like it's, it's so well done.
And like in like after that too, like because it's like I just love the back and forth tension. It's like Bond is on top for a second, but not too long. And then because then Lashif is back on top, and just this like game of cat and mouse. Because even after he wins the game, like, you know, Vesper gets captured. And I don't know if you guys actually knew this, but when Bond crashes the car, the Aston Martin, that scene holds the record for most consecutive car flips, like in a single shot, like in a film.
Does it still hold that record?
I have no idea. We got Google for that. Let's find out.
Because I remember watching a video on YouTube after watching the film, and I saw that too, that this was a record for like, you know, a real effect, how many car flips you could get in a single scene. What was it, like 10 flips?
So I found it. Because Royale holds the record for the most cannon rolls in a car in the scene. 007's legendary Aston Martin is to flip in 7 times.
7. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
007, 7 times.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. If that was intentional.
I guess it's probably a coincidence, but.
By the way, can we talk about how beautiful the cars are in this movie? Like some of the most beautiful cars you'll ever see in your life.
I wonder what the budget was. Like, dude, they had to destroy a real Aston Martin. There was a Ferrari Enzo in it, or not an Enzo, but
budget was 150 million for the movie, which is actually pretty high
for like 2006.
Yeah, for 2006, that's really high,
especially with like no special effects. Because I feel like special movies with a lot of special effects seem to be super expensive for whatever reason.
It's so weird.
Super high budgets.
Like, I wonder how that works. You know, like how do movies that have like visual, like virtual effects have like they end up costing? Like I'm pretty sure
that's what I always wonder.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure like Endgame's budget is probably like 300 million. You know, like
yeah, I think it's one of the highest of any movie.
Yeah, like I want to know the like finances of these movie studios. Like, how does it cost them that much?
If they're like pay developers or something, computer CGI. I don't know.
Yeah,
probably just because it takes a lot of man hours to do CGI.
Oh, do you think like the cost is coming in from like the actual workers?
It's from labor.
That makes sense, actually. Probably they have like
I mean, they probably have to have a team. Yeah, a big team of people that are doing it.
Yeah, the amount of people that are like that's probably costs to like do like they probably have like multiple people just like working on like every single little aspect of like that CGI or like every layer or like however else you want to describe it.
Yeah, but like the fact that it doesn't use any of that too just lends itself more to how good or like how well done this movie is and how realistic it is. Like at the end of the day, I think that's what I really love about this movie is just how real it feels and how believable it is. And like James Bond is just, he's such a good character and he's done, you know, in a good modern twist.
Did you guys, well, before I mention this, like one thing I also, like the main reason I love this film is how like just brings Bond as a character down to earth and like even like modernizes him. I feel like one of the things that like is considered quote unquote problematic for Bond movies is like how they like handle like how he interacts with women. And like even in this one, like I kind of like that once he finds out like, oh, the dude is leaving for Miami airport, like he's not like, oh, I'm gonna stay around and I'll catch him later or something. Like maybe like one of the older Bond films would do, like where he'll stay and just sleep with the girl. Like he's like there's a line, like what the line was, it was like, can I order like the champagne or something? The dude's like for 2 and he's like, no, for 1. and then like the next shot is him like on the way to the airport.
Yeah, he doesn't even stick around. It's like it says a lot about Daniel Craig's James Bond.
And like my favorite line is probably like, because like there's, you know, the iconic James Bond line, like how do you want your like martini or whatever done, and he's always like shaken not stirred, but like in this one they ask him and he's like, do I look like I give a damn? Like
yeah
which I loved. But I want to talk about like what did you guys think of you know, the like kind of the switch the movie makes like after the Casino Royale stuff?
I thought it was much needed. Kind of closure on what they do after they win the casino match, how Le Chief reacts to it and how he's going to go after Bond. And this is kind of where the testicle torture comes in, and
or like after that, like after the Le Chief
like the Venice.
Yeah.
I thought the kind of twist there was interesting because Vesper really on Bond's side the whole time. But we then later find out that Vesper actually gave away the password to save them earlier when they were captured. So Vesper kind of saved them earlier, but it cost them later. I thought that twist was very interesting. But I really enjoyed this last part of the movie because it wasn't just fucking full on fighting the whole time. It just brought closure to everything and made and when Bond shoots White at the very end and then says the name's Bond, James Bond, and it cuts to credits, you just get the full badassery of it, and you're like, that's how it should end.
There was fan service, you know, but it was also different.
It comes at the last second, like he's earned it. Because like Casino Royale is his first mission as James Bond, or it's supposed to be, you know. He finally says the classic line.
If there's any way to end a James Bond movie, that's the way to end it. To leave you like, fuck, this dude's badass. Let's go.
I'm not gonna lie, like the beginning.
Did you guys think it was jarring? Like how it kind of switched plot lines? I guess that's what you're gonna get into, John, right?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I actually did kind of think it was a little bit jarring. And one of my complaints with the movie is the way they go about the switch. It's the only point in the movie where I'm kind of like, whoa, like a little bit caught off guard by like, you know, how they get there and how it seems very sudden. And one of my complaints also is that the love connection between Vesper and James Bond, I think, happens very, very suddenly as well.
That's also my like main complaint. I feel like I don't
it was a
totally
little
buy it. I just don't totally buy it. That's like my main thing.
It reminded me like, and this might just be because we just watched it, but like it gave me Attack of the Clones vibes. I don't know why, but the love connection between Bond and Vesper in that moment kind of gave me Attack of the Clones vibes just a little bit. It seemed a little cringy, and like Ursula said, I didn't think of it like that, but that's a perfect way to put it. It just wasn't believable. But then like I think it wraps itself up in a really nice bow, though. Like you did say, Parker, like there's one last badass action scene. There's a lot of emotion. I believe the emotion with, you know, Bond at the end, you know, where he's like, you know, that bitch, F that bitch, basically about Vesper. Like he really cares about her for a moment. But then he's just like,
I believed it when they were in Venice, but by the like when they're like in it and they're hanging out, but like it felt weird transitioning into it like when he's recovering and she's just like, I am yours. You know?
Yeah. I thought like just the beginning of it was weird, but they really tied everything up in a nice bow at the end. And like, you know, to end it off in a classic, the name's Bond, James Bond, like it was so good. It was just the cherry on top of a really good film. And I don't really have a whole lot. Yeah. I don't have a lot to complain about other than the kind of love connection and how it was explained between Vesper and Bond.
I just like remember
Andrew. Oh, sorry, Ursula, what were you gonna say?
Or no, go ahead, Andy.
Oh, I was just gonna say I feel like the last act of the movie like kind of does a good job of like faking you out. It kind of like makes it seem like, hey, like, you know, they're gonna like be all happily ever after, and then it starts, you know, dragging on, and you're like, okay, something's got to happen. There's no reason that like this ending scene needs to be like an hour, and then it turns out that she betrayed him, and then you have the whole building falling in the ocean thing, which is epic. And then I feel like it's a nice like transition, and then kind of a fake out, and then like a nice landing pad, just to tie it up.
The like I was gonna say something. Oh, I'm forgetting. Anyways, I did want to like circle back though. I wanted to ask you guys, what did you guys think of like the opening song? Because like that's always iconic with James Bond movies. I remember not liking it at first, like when I first had seen the movie a few times, but I actually like really liked it this time around. And I don't know who does it actually. I need to see.
It's Chris Cornell. He's from Audio Slave.
Oh, okay, yeah. But what did you guys think of the like opening track compared to like some of the other Bond opening tracks?
This one I think is actually one of the best. And for me, there's not a lot of reason to it other than the fact that I love Chris Cornell's voice. And I grew up listening to like Audio Slave.
You.
Yeah, dude, it's like that little raspiness. Oh, yes, it's so good. I grew up listening to Audio Slave, so I love this. But funny enough, I was actually talking about this with Parker before the podcast. My dad's gonna hate me for this when he hears this, but for whatever reason, I thought it was Eddie Vedder at first from Pearl Jam. I don't know why, but
Yeah, I was like, that does not sound anything like Vedder. That was totally Audio Slave or
like a
Soundgarden.
like a very raspy Eddie Vedder, or like I don't know, but it's Chris Cornell from Audio Slave. I think it's one of the better Bond songs of the most recent movies. I don't know if they had like songs made for the old Bond movies. I would assume probably they did.
Yeah, it's like a tradition. Like, you know, who's gonna be the artist they choose for the opening, you know, the opening scene, or like the opening.
I thought that started
intro.
with the Daniel Craig movies.
No, it's definitely it's been around forever.
I didn't know that.
It's like a Bond staple. Like who's gonna be the artist that does the opening song, and like how does it rank against other, you know, Bond openings?
I had no idea there was that big of a like. I didn't know there was hype behind it. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like a tradition.
I really like this one though. This is one of my favorite ones that I've heard. Like even, I mean, like I would compare it probably to Skyfall. Like they're very close for me for opening songs, but I don't know. This one like rocks. Like I would listen to it in the car, like driving. Like it just rocks. It's a jam.
Yeah, it's my second favorite. I like Skyfall the most by Adele.
I do too.
I do not like the Sam Smith one for Spectre, especially knowing
it just doesn't fit. And like knowing
especially
that
knowing the Radiohead
one.
Yeah, knowing that Radiohead made a way better one.
And we picked that. We're in the bad timeline.
Yeah, and they picked the one with fucking Sam Smith. And then also I don't even remember the one that Billie Eilish put out for fucking No Time to Die, because it came out a year and a half ago.
Find it this weekend.
Yeah, but I remember that one being kind of mid too. But but like Parker, what did you think of the opening scene or the opening song?
I love it. Like this is what, like John said, this is really what I grew up listening to. Classic Soundgarden, Audio Slave, Chris Cornell music. Like there's nothing better. It was honestly my first time listening to it when I first watched this movie the other day. So honestly, like I got to look it up and jam some more, because I love anything Audio Slave or Chris Cornell for real. It's literally what I grew up listening to. So I got to figure out what that is. But I do really, I think Skyfall, I do agree with you that Skyfall probably is the best Bond song because it fits the most with kind of the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, and kind of going back to the end now, jumping back to the end, it leaves it off at such a good jumping off point for a sequel. And I'm still just so heartbroken that Quantum of Solace does not do anything with that. Like terms of taking that story anywhere meaningful. But I guess we could probably like go into our like final thoughts and our rating of the film. John, do you want to start us off?
Yeah. So I think at the end of the day, Daniel Craig is just a fantastic James Bond. And this is a really great intro film for him. And I think it's fitting that it's supposed to be like, Bond's very first mission. And they kick off Daniel Craig's James Bond with James Bond's first mission. You really get to see him develop as a character. And I like how, at the same time, Daniel Craig is a very modern James Bond. Besides some of his like weird looks and some
Weird
of the
looks.
weird like I thought he had some kind of weird looks like with the women. Like there were a kind of some awkward stares, maybe. Maybe it was just me. It's not a gripe or anything. I just kind of mention it for comedic effect. But besides like his like love connections in this film and how the one especially with Vesper, the first one made sense. I have no complaints with it, but the love connection with Vesper toward the end of the film, or the third act, at the beginning of the third act, I thought it was just not super believable, not super well done. But honestly, besides that, and besides, the third act going into it being just a little bit jarring, because it does just kind of like it's a new story at that point. Besides that, I think this is so well done. I love the villain. I love Mads Mikkelsen as Lashif. I think he's badass. He's believable. He has kind of a classic Bond villain look.
Yeah.
But a very, very realistic feel, unlike some other Bond villains that I've heard of. But I think it's crazy, how this movie looks, considering it came out in 2006. I mean, you could watch it, and the only way you'd be able to tell is like the phones they use and how old they look. Like, that's the only way you could tell that it's an old movie. Other than that, it looks amazing. I think the sound is really good. The sound design and the way that it's written, I think it's really well written. It stays grounded. But with all of that being said, I think if I were to rate it out of 10, I would probably give it a solid 9 out of 10. I think that Casino Royale is one of my favorite Bond movies that I've seen. Still need to see Spectre and No Time to Die, but that will be done before next week once we review No Time to Die. So solid 9 for me. What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie, I've seen it. I think this was the third time I watched it through. I mean, it's a really good movie, and I hadn't actually seen it until recently, maybe like a couple months ago. I ended up watching it when I got that cursed DVD from my sister. That's was obviously has been handed down many, many times. But I mean, I like the whole story. I like the fact that there's kind of two plot lines. I think it keeps it interesting. Because as interesting as they made the poker scene, I don't think you can really drag it out any further than they did. I think they kept it the perfect length, and I thought the whole second part where Vesper betrays him and there's all the Venice stuff, I think that's a really cool. I think that's kind of like a really cool midway switch. I like both of the storylines. I don't really have too many critiques on it. I mean, I guess watching it now, it just seems really outdated with like a lot of the technology that they're using. But obviously, with a movie made in 2006, like that's going to happen. The only really complaint I have, which is kind of a dumb complaint, but like I like could not stop laughing every time Daniel Craig runs. Like the way he runs is just so disturbing to me. Like he's like always doing like high knees and like just like super exaggerated running. Like he looks like a cartoon supervillain. It just like it's just such a dumb critique, but it's just like something that even like when I was watching Spectre and Skyfall, I was like, man, this guy runs like a total jackass. But I mean, not a critique on the movie, more just on just a little nitpick. But I mean, it's an easy watch. I think it's one that I can watch a lot and not get tired of it. It's kind of like Skyfall for me. Like I've never gotten tired of Skyfall, no matter how many times I've seen it, just because they're both great movies. However, I don't think I think so. I haven't seen Quantum of Solace, and I am only halfway through Spectre, but I do still like Skyfall more than Casino Royale. But I give Casino Royale an 8.5 out of 10 at the end of the day.
What about you, Parker?
So this being kind of my first real James Bond experience as a living adult, like actually knowing what I'm watching. I I actually love James Bond now. I'm gonna go through and watch Spectre and
Yeah, are you
shitty.
gonna catch up with them before No Time to Die, you think?
Yes, I want to, because this is just my kind of movie. Nothing too complicated, nothing crazy, just a lot of fun, easy watch, like Andrew said. And just marveling in the fact how clever and awesome James Bond is on, like, there's just certain parts of the movie where he's chasing someone down and they're jumping over like saw tables and like doing all this crazy shit, jumping across buildings while Bond just walks down the stairs, catches up to him. So like it's just he's always just so clever. And the poker scene did not feel drawn out at all. It felt like you were on the edge of your seat that whole match and you were just ready for shit to go down. There's no moment that left you bored. Even at the end of the movie when it started to kind of slow down, it's still, you wanted to know what was happening next. And my expectations for No Time to Die, I really hope that it kind of harkens back to the formula that James Bond should be. Have a lot of action, but tone it down and have like build character development and have relationships, had some humor. And you got yourself like a top tier spy movie. I don't think there's any international spy movie that could like top James Bond and how big it's been for years. Final rating, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I love it. I will definitely go back and watch it. If there's anything to complain about, honestly, they could have done a little bit more, like they could have just done a little bit more character development and make you know, like, I want to know about James Bond's past, but I feel like I would learn a little bit more about that in the other movies. I don't know if it talks about that at all. I kind of want to learn the origins of James Bond. So that's like my only complaint I can really give.
Watch Spectre.
Spectre and Skyfall, they dive into his past more.
Yeah, so that's something I definitely want to dive into for sure.
Yeah. And I guess worth asking you, Andrew and John, like, what are your guys' hopes for No Time to Die? Your expectations going into it?
I'm kind of hoping that it just really keeps itself grounded, and doesn't do too much to just look good. Like you guys have said that Spectre looks really good, but maybe the story, there isn't as much to it. I just hope that it really takes all of what Bond has done well and what Daniel Craig's Bond has established and just run with it and give us a really good final story and final good swan song for Daniel Craig's Bond.
I hope it's up to the level of this and Skyfall, because I mean Quantum of Solace sounds like a dog shit movie, and I mean Spectre so far is like decent, but I hope it's at like Skyfall levels. But I'm really interested to see it. I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah, so I guess I can give my final thoughts now. So I really love how like grounded this film is, like how it really just takes James Bond down to his like core, strips back all the bullshit, like, and like it makes sense because it's his first mission in the whole James Bond like lore, I guess. And I just love Daniel Craig's take on the character. It's very, you could, like John was saying earlier, you could see this happening. Like if spies are on international missions doing shit, this is what you like imagine it being like. And I really love it. And I love that, we do get to see, and when you have such a grounded take on a character, you can really like appreciate what's going on. and what's happening a lot more. You know, like you don't need some crazy action scenes to have like such a well realized take on a character. Like my favorite scene is the stuff going on with the poker match. Cons I would say are that, and also yeah, like pros. Everyone does an amazing job in this movie. Daniel Craig, Eva Green, Mads Mikkelsen. Everyone does, and even Judi Dench as M. They all do fantastic jobs. Cons with this movie, I feel like the last third of this film, it does feel a little disconnected, mainly because it's probably trying to lead into Quantum of Solace, but Quantum of Solace doesn't do anything with that. And I would say that the love is like the love connection between him and Vesper is a little hard to get on board with right away, because it just seems like it's a little bit out of the blue. So I'm gonna actually get Jesus Christ. I want to know which one I find like more, this or Skyfall. I'm not sure right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a 9 out of 10. I think it's an amazing film. I think it's just superbly done. Like this was the best way they could have brought James Bond back into the modern age, to the modern James Bond. And I really like it. And just from what I've noticed from the trajectory of the Bond or the Daniel Craig Bond films, that they're still like grounded, but they have been like upping the ante more and more each film. Like Skyfall, some like crazier shit goes. Like Quantum of Solace is more high intensity than, like more action packed than Casino. Like Casino is the most like sober in terms of like action and the level of action and stuff like that. But like Skyfall, there's some pretty spectacular action. Spectre even more so. And then from what it looks like, No Time to Die will be like really epic in terms of its scale from what I've seen in the trailers. So I don't have a problem with them going more action packed and like more international. I just want them to keep the heart and the characters and like stick true to that and make those really well done and make those fleshed out and well realized, like they did in this film, besides maybe the romance. Because besides the romance, I think all the characters in this film are really well realized. And I think that's what makes like Skyfall really well done too. Like Judi Dench is M and Daniel Craig in that film, really well done. So yeah, 9 out of 10. And I think that brings out the average to an 8.6. So I think that's a pretty good score. And that is our take for Casino Royale. We'll be back next week. I think we will be reviewing No Time to Die. That'll be the main topic for next week. I think we're all planning on seeing it this upcoming week when it comes out. I'm going to be watching it. The night it comes out. I don't know about you guys. Are you guys watching it together?
That's the plan. I guess we hadn't talked about it, but my plan was to see it Thursday night when it comes out.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the plan. We'll be talking about that, and we'll have our opinion on the latest and final Daniel Craig James Bond movie next week. So thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Ursula signing out, and take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for listening.